This is the A-10 Warthog. After 3 years without flying a single major combat mission, it's back. And this time, it's not here to escort or to make a show of force. It's back where it belongs, above hostile terrain, patrolling skies where enemies hide in the rocks and strike without warning. But this time, it's not here to protect anyone. It's here to end a threat. In Yemen, the Houthis have turned the battlefield into a test lab for modern proxy warfare. Their weapon of choice, mobile missile launchers tucked deep into mountain caves, fed coordinates from IRGC advisors in Iran, relayed through commercial Starlink terminals. To answer that threat, on March 29, 2025, a fleet of A-10s from the 124th Fighter Wing touched down at Dhafra Air Base in the UAE. Alongside them, 300 ground crew from the 190th Fighter Squadron. It marked the largest Warthog deployment the US Air Force has seen in 3 years. And no, this wasn't about waving the flag. This was about one of the hardest missions in modern air power. Hunt and eliminate mobile launcher teams before they vanish into the terrain. The old beast is back, and it's still packing tricks the enemy hasn't seen coming. The houthis aren't just a ragtag militia anymore. Today, they're running a textbook version of modern guerrilla warfare, augmented by Iranian tech and precision coordination. Every launch begins the same way. IRGC advisors send target coordinates through Starlink directly to the mobile teams on the ground. Almost instantly, concealed missile launchers, usually armed with Chinese-made C-802 anti-ship missiles, are pulled out from caves or ravines. Each C-802 carries a 165-kilogram armor-piercing warhead with a range of up to 180 kilometers. It's not cutting-edge tech, but fire enough of them and something's bound to hit, and the houthis know it. That's why they never stick around after launch. The moment the missile clears the rails, the team pulls back, fast. Launchers are tucked back into hiding spots, under rock shelves, in hand-dug tunnels, or beneath camouflage in narrow valleys. That's what makes the A-10's job so dangerous. It's not hunting fixed emplacements. It's chasing mobile kill teams that appear for just a few minutes, then disappear into the earth. If you want to stop them, you have to strike before they vanish. If you want to hunt effectively, you need something that knows how to wait, and the A-10 was born to wait. With over 11,000 pounds of fuel on board, the Warthog can loiter over a battlefield for nearly 90 minutes without needing to refuel, but when it's paired with a KC-135 tanker in the sky, it can stay up there for hours, so long as it still has ammo. And that's where things get interesting. Sticking out of the nose of the aircraft is a weapon that strikes fear into anything moving below. The GAU-8A Avenger, a 30mm rotary cannon stretching nearly 20 feet along the aircraft's belly. Rate of fire, 3,900 rounds per minute. Each round weighs nearly a pound and is tipped with depleted uranium, designed to punch through armor. This thing can tear through tanks in seconds, then steel launchers and pickup trucks don't stand a chance. Against mobile launcher crews, lightly protected, quick to move, the Warthog doesn't need anything fancy. Just spot the target, lock in, and pull the trigger. The rest is what people call a spectacular act of destruction. April 1st, the hunt officially begins. A US RC-135 Rivet Joint Reconnaissance aircraft was orbiting high above Yemeni airspace when it picked up an unusual burst of radio traffic. A missile launch was being prepped. They had less than 20 minutes. What the Houthi teams didn't know was that nearly all their encrypted comms had already been burned. What was left were civilian cell phones, easily tracked, easily jammed. 2 A-10s were scrambled immediately, engines roaring at full throttle, diving toward the source. With a top speed around 420 miles per hour, they reached the target zone in just 18 minutes, barely enough time to spare. As the aircraft crossed the ridgelines and deserts of central Yemen, the pilot activated the lightning targeting pod, scanning for heat signatures and shapes below. And then they saw it, a Houthi crew casually rolling a missile launcher out from a cave, unaware they'd already been locked in. No enemy radar was active, no early warning. The A-10s descended low, slow, and silent from the south. At 6,500 meters, the GAU-8 began to growl. In just 2 seconds, nearly 260 rounds of 30mm high-velocity shells screamed down like a steel rainstorm, each round traveling at over 3,500 feet per second. By the time they struck, everything below had already begun to melt away. The launcher was shredded, the crew gone. It was the first strike, fast, clean, final. But before the A-10s could strike safely, another aircraft had to clear the way. Silently, invisibly, the EA-18G Growler launched from the deck of the USS Eisenhower. The Growlers were built for one specific mission: SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. In military terms, SEAD is simple. Before you throw a punch, take out your enemy's eyes. And the Growler does exactly that, using invisible weapons, electromagnetic energy. Equipped with the next generation jammer, the Growler scans, locks, and disrupts any radar operating between 2 and 6 gigahertz. The moment a Houthi radar pulses, the system identifies its type, its position, and its direction, then strikes. With a power output reaching 270 kilowatts, the Growler sends a continuous surge of energy strong enough to overwhelm the radar's own signals. In effect, the radar goes blind completely. Modern radars can resist jamming, but most of what the houthis use, old Soviet and Iranian tech, not so lucky. Within just 15 minutes, 3 radar sites had gone dark. No warnings, no tracking. The skies were wide open, and the Warthogs were already inbound, silent and unseen. With Houthi radar silenced, the A-10 got the green light. Through the lightning pod, the lead pilot spotted movement. 3 launchers being rolled out. One of them was being recovered with camouflage netting. They thought they hadn't been detected. They were wrong. Without hesitation, the pilot locked on and fired an AGM-65 Maverick from 26 miles out. This laser-guided missile carries a 125-pound shaped charge, designed to punch through armor and tear a launcher apart from the inside out. And this one hit dead center. The Maverick struck the launcher like a surgeon's scalpel, followed by something far messier. The C-802 missile, still mounted on the launcher, exploded on impact, triggering a massive chain reaction. Shrapnel ripped through the remaining 2 launchers, punching fist-sized holes in their steel. As for the Houthi crew, they scrambled into a Toyota pickup, desperate to escape. But the second A-10 was already in low orbit. Flying at just 3,000 feet below 250 knots, the pilot lined up the shot. Half a second of BRRT, over 50 rounds of 30mm slammed into the truck. And just like that, the escape was over. One sequence, one missile, one burst, and the entire enemy unit disappeared from the map. After taking repeated losses, the Houthis began to adapt. No more broad daylight convoys, no more radio chatter or mobile phones. This time they pulled back into Sawan, a rugged region in northern Yemen filled with tunnels, underground storage bunkers, and hardened camouflage networks. They stopped using wireless comms altogether, opting instead for fiber optic cables buried deep underground, connecting command posts through temporary relay stations. Their behavior made one thing clear: the Houthis knew they were being watched, and they were switching to full defense mode. But here's the problem: the A-10 doesn't need radio signals to find its prey. It hunts with heat. With its advanced lightning pod sensors, each Warthog can scan rooftops, rock faces, dirt tracks, looking for abnormal hotspots, the residual heat from just parked engines, warm patches of disturbed ground, even warm exhaust from bunkers not yet cooled. To the A-10, a launcher sitting in the shadows glows like a neon target in broad daylight. The deeper the Houthis went, the more they exposed their limitations. They were boxed in, unable to maneuver quickly, and worst of all, they thought they were hidden. But thermal warfare doesn't lie, and the Warthog was still circling above, waiting patiently like a sniper in the sky. April 13th, Jaf Province, a semi-desert region on Yemen's northern border. A US drone was on routine patrol until it spotted something out of place. Near an abandoned irrigation berm, a slow-moving heat signature appeared, likely a missile launcher being rolled out from underground. No confirmation needed. The signal was relayed immediately to a patrolling A-10 flight less than 100 kilometers away. Within 10 minutes, a Warthog was skimming the ridgeline. Flying low at just 3,000 feet, the pilot hugged the terrain to avoid detection. The target, a C-802 launcher fully set up with a radar system nearby, already syncing with targeting data, likely from Iran. The A-10 stayed just far enough. At 7 nautical miles, the pilot launched 2 AGM-65 Mavericks, one locked on the radar, the other locked on the launcher. The explosions hit almost simultaneously. The radar evaporated. The launcher split in half, thrown nearly 30 feet by the blast. Survivors scrambled from the bunker bunker, sprinting toward a nearby Toyota pickup. But they were too late. The second Warthog was already dropping in. Flying low and slow, the pilot lined up the shot, then gave them half a second of BRRT. Over 50 rounds of 30mm tore through the truck. Movement ceased instantly. In under 90 seconds, the entire team was wiped out. Radar, launcher, crew. A precision ambush, executed with zero chance of retaliation. You don't always get to pull the trigger. Many Houthi launchers were positioned in densely populated areas, where even one stray shot could cause civilian casualties. And in modern warfare, avoiding collateral damage isn't just about morality, it's about strategy. That's when the A-10 assumes a different role, the enforcer. The tactic is called a show of force. Back at base, the Warthog gets loaded to the max, 6 Mavericks under its wings, a full GAU-8 drum ready to shred a convoy, and the lightning pod locked in. But when it reaches the target zone, the pilot doesn't fire. Instead, the A-10 swoops in low, just a few hundred feet off the ground. The roar of its twin TF-34 engines shakes the valley like a thunderstorm rolling in. For anyone prepping to launch a missile, that sound freezes the blood. They know, stay 30 seconds longer and the sky will rain fire. No warning shots, no loudspeakers, just the silhouette of an A-10 overhead, and that's enough. The Houthis abandon the launcher. They flee the position. Mission accomplished without firing a round. A strike with no explosion, just presence and power. By mid-April, the battlefield in Yemen had gone unusually quiet. Once active launch sites fell silent, radio chatter collapsed, Navy radars in the Red Sea stopped receiving missile lock alerts, and some oil tankers even returned to routes they had long abandoned. There were no press briefings, no banners, no parades, but the data doesn't lie. Between April 2nd and 17th, A-10s flew 218 sorties with 0 losses. The outcome? 47 missile systems destroyed, 9 high-ranking Houthi commanders eliminated. All of it happened in silence. But every BRRT that echoed across the desert carried a message, a warning to anyone who dares test American air power. Yes, the A-10 is still scheduled for retirement by 2029, but this campaign made one thing clear. Its impact is undeniable, and across the Marine Corps and the Navy, more commanders are now asking the same question. Should we really let this thing go? In a war with no cameras, no hashtags, the A-10 does what it was born to do: arrive, destroy, disappear, an old machine, a new battlefield, a victory that didn't need to be announced.